Okay, so I want to welcome everybody to our broadcast today, Sunday morning service. And we're going to start out with having our singers Tatiana and Tasha come up and lead us in a song.
Yay!
Don't worry about the mic, it's on.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Virtual land as well. Today we are going to be teaching you guys a song called Heart to Heart. This song is by Nicomo Clark, and very simply put, the song is about how connecting with our hearts and hands heals us and the earth.
Alright, so I'm gonna teach the first part, and I'll teach it in two parts just because it'll be easier for you guys. But the first part of the first part is heart to heart.
Heart to heart.
And the second part of the first part is hand in hand.
Hand in hand.
Perfect. And then I'll just do that together, and then you guys can repeat that. So heart to heart.
Heart to heart.
So I'm gonna do both of them together by myself.
Oh, there you go.
Let me go first, sorry.
All right.
Heart to heart, hand in hand.
Heart to heart. Hand in hand.
There you go.
And the third part is going to be healing the circle.
Healing the circle.
Healing the land.
Healing the land.
All right, so I'm going to do that all together, and then you guys repeat after me. So, healing the circle. Healing the land.
Healing the circle.
Healing the land.
So, do you want to sing it just together, all together by ourselves?
Yes.
And then, okay, cool. So we're gonna do the whole entire thing by ourselves, and then you guys can join.
Okay.
Heart to heart, hand in hand, healing the circle, healing the land. Heart to heart,
Hand in hand. Healing the circle. Healing the land.
heart to heart,
Hand in hand. Healing the circle. Healing the land. Heart to heart. Hand in hand. Healing the circle. Healing the land. Heart to heart. Hand in hand. Healing the circle. Healing the land. Heart to heart. Hand in hand. Healing the circle. Healing the land. Heart to heart. Hand in hand. Healing the circle. Healing the land.
heart to
Heart.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This morning's prayer is full of mentions of blessing, because that's what the Rising Suns talked about Thursday night in our meeting. As a matter of fact, the closing prayer and the in-between is as well. So here we go. Our opening prayer. Blessings and love in our morning prayer. Our hearts are overflowing with love for the sheer joy of being alive. Our love ripples out and touches the hearts of those sitting near us in our chapel this morning. The ripple continues outward and encounters and embraces all the people in Salem, in Oregon, in America, around the whole of our world. We have sent a message to our entire universe. Love, the language of God, is spoken here. Our energy, our love binds us together. Share it with others all day, every day. The supply will never run out. This morning when I arose, I blessed this day. I blessed the sun, the sky, my home, the weeds in my yard, and the dust on my cars, which are now mud. When you are in love with the universe, everything you see is a blessing. This is my prayer to you. Every day, in everything you do, my blessings and my love will be with you. Blessings to all in my love and light. Amen.
Amen.
Brother Madge.
Madge.
Okay. So, what I'm going to talk about today is our differences as our strengths. So I've been fascinated lately. I've been thinking a lot about how our differences are really our strengths, and how we have a love-hate relationship with differences. You know, and even within ourselves, we love being different, but we're really uncomfortable being odd. Or we're proud of being odd, but we feel left out. And so we struggle with that. Right? We love and we hate it. We think we are unique. Ooh, you know, I love being unique, but I don't want to be on the outside of a group. You know, so it's a love-hate kind of relationship that we have. And then we superimpose that love-hate of differences on other people because we're struggling with it within ourselves. So I was reading a story that I used some time ago, and I want to use it again here. I read in the newsletter for the Unitarian Church in Portland. Reverend Sinkford was the minister there then. I'm not sure if he still is. But anyway, he had an article, and he was responding to the folks that were shocked because he was going to have communion for the Christians. And and I'm assuming, you know, they felt this like, you know, that's terrible. Why are you doing that? You know, I thought we got rid of that. I thought I left that years ago. I left that in my childhood. And, you know, it kind of falls into the category of what I like to call post-traumatic religious disorder. How many people are suffering from post-traumatic religious disorder? Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of people that are. We deal with it here quite a bit, actually. If we get too close, then it's like, it's like, where's the door? I'm going to run because it's too much like my childhood. So even though some of these people have that traumatic religious upbringing, they often have a thirst for community, which is what we kind of experience here as well. You know, it's like, I miss my community. They still have a connection to Source. They still have a connection to God. And they're looking for where is it that it's comfortable. So they come to church, and they usually go to a church that's similar but different than what they're used to, because we don't want to get too far out of our comfort zone. right? Yeah. So or they go to something that's nothing like what my childhood was, and so they try something new. Well, anything has to be better than what I know is usually the underlying feeling of how we see it. But when the landscape of where we're at and the place we really like takes on some scenes of where we came from, then we start getting anxiety and start hyperventilating. Like, oh my gosh, that's so much like what I grew up in. I don't want anything to do with that. Well, this minister didn't betray his people, and nor did the church betray them, even though they were having this big reaction to him holding communion. But their beliefs is what betrayed them. So I love how Reverend Sinkford responded to his congregants that were reacting to this with this disbelief that he would do such thing. And he didn't respond by sticking his head in the sand, nor did he respond with equal anger or frustration. At least not publicly. I don't know what he said privately, but publicly he had a very amiable response to it. He addressed it openly with understanding and he called it out. He said, let's talk about this. So, and I've been to this church for different events. It's the Universalist Unitarian in Portland. It's a beautiful facility, big one, takes up the entire block. Anyway, but here's the interesting part when I read this article, this is so weird, because they really pride themselves in their diversity. They have signs around in their common areas, because when you go to the restroom, you have to go downstairs and go through the common area, so you kind of see what their culture is like. So they have all these signs embracing gays and lesbians, transgenders, all races, all colors, and that's what they pride themselves in their diversity. And they also have interfaith events, multicultural things going on. So I was shocked at the same time that some of these folks would be so strongly opposed to a Christian practice like communion. So this church, it was, just to give you a little history on the church, it was founded in the 1980s. And it became very well known in the Portland area in the early 1990s when they were having the riots up in Portland over gay rights. Some of you guys weren't even born yet. Fortunately, you don't know about that. You don't have to. But some of us remember. And anyway, so what that church did is they blocked off the whole block with a rope. And they said, anybody on this side of the rope can come in peace. This is a peace zone. And if you're going to stand in peace, you can stand on this side of the rope. If you want to riot and be angry, you go on that side of the rope. It was just a rope. But they had this beautiful dividing line, and even the police officers participated. Some of the police officers wanted peace, so they stood on their side of the rope. It's like, I just love it. So anyway, it was really beautiful, and it was a very courageous stand to take. So in the newsletter, so anyway, that's what they fought for, what they stood for. In the newsletter, the minister reminded his people of their pride and their differences. And he reminded them also that they have congregants that also practice Buddhism, they practice Hinduism, and other religious traditions, all while attending the Universalist Unitarian Church. So they have this religious diversity as well. So then he said, so I'm going to have communion for those who choose to follow the Christian path. I thought, you go, mister, that is good. Yeah. So it made me realize that how important Christianity is as a part of our diversity. That is an aspect of our diversity. It's not something we need to run away from because it was what we had as a kid. That's part of our diversity, as is all the other religions. So we tend to only think of diversity as something that's separate from us. If it's separate from us, and we don't understand it, then it must be diversity kind of thing, Then we want to include it. But it is a chunk of our diversity. Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, that is our diversity. So in his newsletter the week prior, he was trying an indirect approach to get the folks to think about their reactions, because he told this joke in his newsletter. It's by Emo Phillips. To me, it's just so funny. Let's see if you guys think so. So the joke is, I was walking across a bridge one day, and I saw a man standing on the edge about to jump. So I ran over and I said, "Stop, don't do it." And the guy says, "Why should I?" And I said, "Well, there's so much to live for." He said, "Like what?" I said, "Well, are you religious or an atheist?" He said, "Religious." I said, "Me too. Are you Christian or Buddhist?" He said, "Christian." "Oh, me too." "Are you Catholic or Protestant?" He said, "Protestant." I said, "You are?" "Me too." "Are you Episcopalian or Baptist?" He said, "Baptist." "Wow, me too." "Are you Baptist Church of God or Baptist of the Lord?" He said, "Baptist Church of God." I said, "Me too." "Are you Original Baptist Church of God or are you Reformed Baptist Church of God?" He said, "Reformed Baptist Church of God." I said, "Me too." "Are you Reformed Baptist Church of God, Reformed of Reformation of 1879, or Reformed Baptist Church of God, Reformation of 1915? He said, "Reformed Baptist Church of God, Reformation of 1915. I said, "Heretic," and I pushed him off. He's different than me. Isn't that great? Sometimes that's just how it is. Sometimes we most dislike. Sometimes we most dislike that which is so similar to us, but just a little different. And we usually most dislike things that are just kind of different than us or extremely different than us. We want our differences to be within a certain comfort zone of what we're comfortable with. Different enough to call myself diverse, but not so much that it makes me wrong, and not so much that it scares me. We want it to be comfortable. Isn't that true? So it really bothers me when I see folks that are embracing differences or diversity, and they make it all about them. I've seen this a number of times where they use it as a measuring stick of their goodness. "Oh, look at me, I'm so good. I'm so diverse. I'm so accepting of other people and their differences. See how good I am? I went and talked to the guy with the turban. Aren't I good? I'm so open." Sometimes it's a measure of what we want people to see from us. And actually, I have a funny story about something like that. So at the Peace Festival, I was the speaker there, representing New Thought. So I'm in the front row, and I'm studying my material. This is quite a few years ago. This is probably right after 9/11. I think that's when it happened. So I'm reading my material and getting familiarized with it. I'm aware that there's a whole row of empty chairs beside me, and I'm aware people are going by me and they're sitting down and I'm not paying any attention. And then pretty soon I can, somebody's right next to me. So I look up just to do a little greeting, and it was a guy with a turban and a big black beard and a white gown. I didn't know it. I was just so surprised because I didn't notice it, and it was so much different than me. And he was a big guy too, because it just made me kind of jump out of my skin because I wasn't prepared for it. And then I was embarrassed, and I was ashamed for being surprised and for jumping. I thought he's a Sikh. He was there as one of the people that was part of the Peace Festival. And if I'd have seen him come in the door and sit down next to me, I wouldn't have thought anything of it. But I just wasn't prepared in my mind for a whole row of white robes and big black beards and white turbans. So I jumped, and I was like, I never forgot it because I thought, oh my gosh, even me did that because I wasn't prepared. It was weird. Anyway, Abraham in the Bible. He represents the beginning of major religions on our planet. So religion comes from the Latin word meaning to reconnect. So Abraham is the father and the model of reconnecting with the one God. And I'm sure he meant it as one God as the creator of everything, not the one God that I believe in, and then you have one God that's different, and we all have one God that we think is the right God. And so we fight about it. I don't think that was the one God that he was the originator of. So as you know, Ishmael is the son of Abraham and Hagar. And Abraham was a Jew. So of course Ishmael was a Jew as well. Well, Ishmael was cast out of his community, and he eventually became the father of Arabia. And then later he took on the teachings of Muhammad as his gospel. And so it's sad to see the fighting in the Middle East, because originally they were all Jews, so they're all brothers and sisters, and they've just chosen different prophets to follow, the different prophets to be their leader. But originally they all came from the same source. They all came from the same family. So it's really sad to see that kind of a difference dividing people and causing so many people to die and so much strife. But we're being assured through the channeled information that change is coming. Change is happening, not coming. Change is happening. They're saying that even though the children are being taught that, after generations of hating each other, the children are standing up and they're saying, tell me again why I should hate them? I don't get it. The children are starting to stand up and they're saying, what did they do? And who even remembers what the other party did after this many generations? Well, because it's what we've always done. We always hate each other. So now you're supposed to too. And the kids are going, I don't get it. I'm not feeling it. So it's a particular part of our history that is kind of fading away as the younger ones are coming up, because they don't see it and they don't want to participate with it. So the parents are shaking their head and they're saying, well, do as we say. Do as you're told, because that's our history and this is what we do. And the kids are just saying, no, I'm not going to do that. So it's really beautiful as the young ones are coming in. They're not as willing to participate. I know we see pictures of some of it, but the media doesn't know how to broadcast the new energy. They don't know how to broadcast their optimism or the good things that are happening, where peace is happening. There's nothing that's newsworthy. They only know how to broadcast separatism. They only know how to broadcast war and issues and, where people are fighting. This new energy started arriving on the planet shortly after World War II. And one of the things that we can see as a result of this new energy is the common currency in Europe. They have one currency being the flow. Think of the word, what it really is. It's the flow. And there isn't the boundaries in Europe anymore. You can travel from country to country to country in Europe. So they can't fight themselves unless they develop like an autoimmune disease, where they turn on themselves. So it's interesting to think about how influential those kinds of events are. So they have one currency, one energy flow, and it's so now they have to be in harmony with each other, because they all are flowing back and forth seamlessly, and they don't have the separatism as in the same way that wars create. So some of our declaration, some say that our Declaration of Independence was channeled. I mean, if you read it, it's easy to believe how it could have been, or it maybe even is, because it talks so eloquently about unity and equality for all, not just some. But then the irony is, while that was being written, they were slaughtering the natives. So it's, they were still, even though they were writing it one for all, they still had the old pattern of separatism that was happening. And it's like, the bigger picture of the Declaration of Independence was happening while the little mind was still engaged in separatism. They were even saying, in South America, they're talking about one currency as well. It'll be interesting to see what happens if that does take place. But it bears to mind that light is being brought into every situation. Situation after situation, country by country, person by person, light from all of you as light workers and from all of our light worker brothers and sisters on the planet are having an effect. We only get to see through the media the really bad stuff, but that stuff is coming up from the underbelly of humanity to be cleared. And there's really a lot of beautiful things that are happening, lots of compassion, lots of beautiful deeds for each other that's happening on the planet. So in thinking about humanity as one big organism, we're all like cells of this larger body. And we all have different values. We're all one part of the many, and every part is very, very important. So each one of you is very important in the collective of the whole. We all have equal opportunities. We all have equal resources from the Great Mother, the Earth, and no two are alike. No two people, no two cells in this collective of humanity is the same. We all have the same DNA, however, if we trace it back far enough. But to relate this idea of differences to the body, just like the skin has the same DNA as the stomach muscles. Every part of your body has the same DNA, but it's expressed as a different form. And, so if we can relate that to humanity, we're all different, but we're expressing ourselves in different ways, in different forms. And I like to sometimes use cancer as kind of an analogy around that as well. Cancer is a very selfish process within the body. I don't know anyone, and don't translate that into being a selfish person. I'm talking about the cells themselves are very selfish because they consume all the resources in the body, regardless of the host, to the detriment of the host that's feeding it. The cancer will kill it. So it's a very selfish disease, or the cells are, not the person. Make that distinction. So if we are one big organism, there's a few humans on this planet that are like our cancer cells. And they're very selfish, and they're consuming our resources, right? So they're cutting down our rainforest, which is our lungs, our planetary lungs, to put a few McDonald's cows out there to graze, killing the host that's feeding it. We've got, oil being pulled out of the earth and burned at an astonishing rate, to the detriment of the whole. Interestingly enough. So it's, there is representation in behavioral patterns of how we are as a collective organism. And cancer isn't going to be cured anytime soon because of the behavior of what we see being demonstrated. The body is a beautiful example of how our differences are our strength, because our body is a symphony of cooperation. So if we look at our body as a microcosm of the macrocosm of our humanity, we can see how beautiful cooperation is. If one part of our body gets in trouble, the whole rest of our body takes note and does what it can to help the issue. If your blood needs more calcium, your bones will give up the calcium for the greater good of the whole, because it gives to keep a certain balance no matter what. It doesn't say, if your heart needed more calcium or your heart needed a resource, the rest of your body isn't going to say, sorry, good luck up there. Hope you get it figured out, but I'm going to hang on to my resources. I'm not going to share it. Our body doesn't do that. Our body always is working for the greater good of the whole system. And it's just a perfect example of the microcosm of cooperation. Oh, another example is the foot doesn't say to the hand, I'm not a part of you, I have no need for you. I'm separate from you and I can do everything on my own. Thank you very much. So we can't say that to each other, that I'm separate from you, I don't need you, because we are all part of this collective of humanity. And each thing we do has an impact. In Corinthians, there's a beautiful verse that says exactly that. Just as a body, though one, has many parts, but all its many parts form one body, so it is in Christ. For we are all baptized by one Spirit so as to form one body. Whether Jews or Gentiles, slave or free, we were all given the one Spirit to drink. Even so, the body is not made up of one part, but of many. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. So this tells me that we each have a very special, unique part of the expression of God to bring forth in our existence. And God is not whole without you. You bring that element of wholeness, just being who you are, to God being expressed through us. And we bring forth that light and that love, and the light in your soul is that element that we all need in this collective of humanity. This is what it is being called forth. That's what's being called forth within you and through your expression of God, is that light and that love that is unique to you, that specialness that you bring just by being you. The world needs you, and I'm glad that you're all here, and I hope you all continue for a very long time to be here. So there are two common approaches to the dualistic view, to this dualistic of opposition or differences. One side is we can perceive everything as separate from us, as we look for blame and fault, misunderstanding the other, then demonizing them. Then we try to destroy them. And this is fear-based and revolves around protecting us from the other. The other most common approach is the other extreme, views of the world with simplistic optimism. Problems are not real. They are illusions to be transcended from, although there is an element of truth to that. If we only could change how we think about them, it's all good. This eternal optimism of it's all good, it's always great, it's always whatever. Ultimately, this is true, but it's not real life. And then there's the middle road. The middle road is here that walks between fear-based ways of blame and the blissed la-la world of, the fool, so to speak. And it's the road that faces head-on the difficulties and allows the Spirit of God to be called forth within, to answer the needs of the soul, and to honor the wisdom that is going to be gleaned from our experiences, and to become a part of the experience we come here to have, to be used as we grow into a life of compassion and of service. And that's the middle road that I hope that we're all striving to take, to just take it day by day, situation by situation, and know that we have the wisdom within. And from each experience, we're going to continue to grow our soul and to express God in the most beautiful and benevolent way. So let's have a little meditation. Get yourself seated and take a nice deep cleansing breath. And let's just identify within ourselves for a moment the places in us that are struggling with how different somebody is from us, or how different a situation is from us. And we just let it come up, we acknowledge it, we see it, and we just let it go. Without judgment, without condition, just because we know that that's the high road. They have a right to be there, they have a right to be different. They might look at us and say the same thing. We just let it go, giving it a blessing if we feel so called to, but for the very least, just releasing it from your energetic field and from your mind and from your heart. And we bring up a situation now that we feel really comfortable with. Somebody that's different than us, but we really hold them in a deep regard. And we just use that as a landmark of how we're going to be. Feel your heart open, feel your heart expand, feel that oneness of spirit. And now think about even a bigger picture. Think about perhaps an animal that we really love. And it's very different than us, but we can love it unconditionally. And our heart expands even more. And then we take it to a good place, and we think about our city that we live in. There are so many things that are happening that are difficult situations. And just let that open heart continue to permeate, blessing each scene that comes across your mind, giving it a blessing. You don't have to understand the why. You don't have to know the answer of how to fix it. Just see it and let it be a ticker tape across your mind, and let that image be blessed with your open heart. Let that blessing just rest in the presence of those difficult situations that we know are happening around us. Now we expand it to the world, maybe to our state. Let's expand it to our state, knowing that there's beautiful situations happening, beautiful blessings and compassion. But we also know there's difficult situations and people and things and situations that are very different from us. And we just give them all a blessing, a blanket of blessings, of an open heart, of that light that's within your soul. As light workers, we're spreading the light and the love, and we take it across our nation, and finally across the globe. And we just wrap this beautiful planet Earth in that unconditional love, that non-judgment of all the differences that we have in the most beautiful ways, each unique person, animal, plant, being, every sentient being is just blessed with this love, is blessed with this one spirit, this one mind, and this one energy of unconditional love. And let that bless our planet and bless everything there is, every living being that will serve them and bring about a lightened load, a lightened heart, knowing that they too are blessed. Take another deep breath, bring yourself back into the room, knowing that you've done your work for this moment. And kind of wiggle your toes and wiggle your fingers when you're ready. All right, so we're going to do the offering. So let's take our gift to the home center, put it between our hands. Let's charge this beautiful gift up, knowing that we are already abundant. We already are in the flow of life, in the flow of our currency, and in the flow of our abundance. And let it be blessed with your love and your goodness and your giving heart. And we receive it into the home center, knowing that those blessings are coming through the home center, and we bless it too, and we send it back out into the world with this currency and flow. And it comes back to you, blessing you 100 times all of your wants, needs, and desires. They're going to serve your highest good. Let that be your truth. Amen. All right. So the basket's going around, and I'm going to invite Dick up for an inspirational story and a closing prayer, and then we'll be closing our broadcast.
Okay.
Because it was too quiet earlier. Well, my closing statement from the book, Remembering Who You Truly Are. Surprise, it's God's Day 212 blessings. Bless your way through the day. Someone is waiting for your blessing today. Who will it be? Whisper a silent bless you to this person. Your blessing opens a connection between God's love, you, and the person you are blessing. You serve as a conduit for God's power to harmonize and heal. During your daily activities, take a moment to bless everyone and everything around you. Bless your car, it will work better. Bless your home and the people you are working with. Let your prayer and action be, today I will bless my way through this day. And now our closing prayer. Take a moment to drink in the beauty of life surrounding us this morning. It is God's greatest gift to our world, life. Give thanks for your ability to experience the unconditional love of God and experience the love of His creations to and from ourselves. Together we do make a difference here on earth with our love and our light, our blessings and our compassion. After all, we are God's light workers. Here, in God's eyes, we are the perfect conduit for the love and light this world so dearly needs. So be it. It is perfect. Amen. Those watching on Facebook and YouTube this morning, this ends our Sunday service. Home Spiritual Center, out.
I love your clothes. All right, announcements coming up. So this week, tomorrow night, we've got the full moon ceremony with Casey. Tuesday is the power of 8. So if anybody's working on a particular manifestation, something you're trying to make happen in your world,